Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Natalie and I'm an artist and art teacher living in the Seattle, Washington area. Today I'm going to be reacting to my own art. I put together a collection of pieces from 2016 on of art that I've made. So it's very representative of different eras and different things that I was into and progression of my artistic journey. I started my art Instagram in 2016. It kind of just took off from there. So we're going to kind of walk back through some of the art that I've made on that journey. If you're interested in seeing art that I've made in college or high school or even elementary and middle school, let me know and we can put together another one of these videos reacting to that artwork from that time in my life. I also think it would be fun to do a reaction video to an art grouping that my husband picks or a friend or something like that, because I picked all of these. So, I'm a little biased. It might be fun to see what other people would pick for me to react to. So if you're interested in any of those ideas, drop a comment below, leave a like on this video, and don't forget to subscribe. With that all being said, then let's rank some art. The first piece that I am going to talk about is this wolf howling. This is the first post. If you scroll back through all of the many posts on my art Instagram, this is the first one. And it was done in watercolor. It's like I redid that painting quite a few times. Every year in July, I would repaint this wolf and just like mark my progress. But I only included one of the wolves because I didn't really like the other ones. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so this guy he's gonna be a B tier artwork for me. It's just like I've obviously improved a lot since I painted this. 2016 was how long ago? I had taken a watercolor class. I learned how to use watercolors. I had a very elementary understanding of how watercolors worked. And so this painting, while not a bad painting, is just a very beginner painting. And it's not a bad thing. It's just like, this is like the baseline I just grew from here. The next image is a coffee cup with text in it. So I launched my Instagram with that watercolor and then very quickly abandoned ship. And I just was doing hand lettering for most of the beginning of this Instagram journey. So I would do the deposit envelopes at work and I would doodle on them. And so this is one of the ones that I did. And I'm gonna put this also in the B tier. Maybe it's a C. It might be a C. It says, but first I drink the coffee and then I do the things, which was a big thing in 2016. These little quotey one-liners. My lettering started out not being very good. It wasn't very good lettering. I knew how to write in cursive, but I wasn't good at writing in cursive and picking like font pairings and all that stuff. And so this is also like a good, like, here's where I started. And I just continued to grow from there. The more you practice, the more you do something, the repetition that you have, you build those skills, you build that foundation. And so it's a good reminder of like everybody who's great at something used to suck. So it's going to be a C. And then the next image I want to talk about is this octopus. It's Henry the Octopus is what I named this character, and I've drawn Henry the Octopus since like 2012, 2013. Like, he's been around for a long time. And this image I picked of him, he's shown off his tentacles, and it says Thug Life. And I just love it so much. It's one of my favorite, it's like my only character that I have drawn. I'm not a character artist. I don't have a bunch of OCs like other artists do. That's not who I am. And so Henry the Octopus is really like the only character that I have. Drawing him as a gangster with thug life knuckle tats really cracks me up. So this for me is an S tier. It's a simple doodle, but the humor is really what makes it great. The next image is this digital artwork I did of a bear for the National Park Service. I didn't do this for them, but they posted a series of tweets that are hilarious. And so I did a series of digital paintings based on the tweets that they had put out into the world. And so this tweet said, "If not friend, why friend shaped?" And I drew a bear to go along with that. And it's funny and I like the humor of it, but I feel like the artwork as a whole is not my best work. So the bear drawing illustration that I did, I really like that. The lettering I think is really pretty, but the lettering is too small for the size of the bear. And so I feel like compositionally it could be better. And so I think this is a B tier artwork. It's like, there's a lot of good things about it, but it could use some improvements. So B tier. The next one is this gem. It's from the beginning of my art Instagram career where I was doing all of the hand lettering. I was joining all of these hand lettering challenges. I was posting like every day, maybe sometimes a couple of times a day, just really trying to hone my lettering skills. And as I got better at lettering, I started to add watercolor to those pictures. And so this is one of those where I watercolor painted a gem with some florals and then added lettering on top of it. And so this was a formula for my artwork for a long time. I used this. It's really mainly how I grew my channel and made my Instagram account and made the connections I did was really through a community of hand lettering. And what's really interesting is that like I went through my people I follow, and a lot of the people that were really big hand letterers back in the day when I started are no longer posting on Instagram or have shifted to completely different styles of art, which is true for me as well. I do a different style of art now. So I just thought that was an interesting thing to notice. So this artwork for me is probably a C artwork. The gem is not my favorite. The florals are rendered, interestingly, they lack line art. They're lineless, and so they're not very detailed. And so it's kind of a nice style, but the lettering could use some improvement, and the gem is not as well rendered as I would like it to be. So I think that is a C painting. The next image is another watercolor painting paired with lettering, because I did that a lot. And this is an image of Hey Hey from the movie Moana. This is, for me, this is a B tier painting. Hey Hey's really cute. I love how he turned out. The lettering is fun. I was obsessed with Moana for a while. Hey Hey! When we first moved to Arizona, I started teaching, and we moved in the summer, and school didn't start until August, and we were there in May, and I couldn't go outside and walk anywhere because it was 112 degrees, and so I just stayed in my apartment and painted pictures and watched Moana, and so that's what Hey Hey makes me think of. This next picture is also a watercolor and lettering image, and it's a Emily Dickinson quote. It says, "I'm out with lanterns looking for myself," and I love how the lettering turned out in this picture. I love that it is the same colors as the lantern, and the letters look like they're glowing. I think it turned out really nice. The lantern could have been rendered a little bit better. It's a little bit simple, but overall, I really like this painting. I'm going to put it in the A tier. Let's go A tier. This next one is another digital painting I did inspired by the National Park Service. It's a turkey, and the lettering says, "Your chances of being attacked by a turkey are low but never zero." Like, so funny. And I really like how the turkey turned out. Like, the illustration of the turkey is top tier for me. It's great. But the lettering is similar to the one on the bear, where it's not as legible as I want it to be. It didn't turn out like the way I pictured it in my head. It's not bad, but it's also not like perfect, And so I think that it's also a B tier. But I really like the turkey. The turkey alone might make it an A tier, but with the lettering not being exactly what I want it to be, it's B tier. And then we have this circular sunset. This is like when I started to transition into more landscape paintings, but still paired it with the lettering. This one is very unsuccessful, which is why I picked this one so that it wasn't all just S and A tier paintings, is that like I don't like this painting. I don't like how it turned out. I think that there's a lot that could be better about it. It's a D tier. For me, the color scheme is very pretty. The yellow and the green and the cyan with the black silhouette of the trees. Like, I really like the colors of this painting. But the blending for the sunset, the composition of how I put the quote on there, and the way I painted the trees, I just like, it's very beginner trees, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to start somewhere, and you have to be proud of what you do at the time that you make it and post it, and, you know, enjoy what you're doing if it's gonna stick. So it's like, it's fun to look back and be like, wow, I really didn't do a good job with that. But also, like, it's indicative of like, I had to learn, I had to get better, I had to practice. So it being a D tier doesn't hurt my feelings, but like, it's not a good painting for me. This next image is a drawing, not a painting, and it is a juniper branch, and it says, "Bloom where you are planted." I got really into botanical illustration, and one of the prompts was to do a juniper branch, and I remember being super intimidated to try and draw this because all the pine needles are so intricate, and I didn't think I was going to be able to render it very well. And then after I finished, I was like, super impressed with how it turned out, because I did not think I was going to be able to achieve that. So this is an S tier for me. I love this so much. I've contemplated getting that juniper branch tattooed on my body because it's just like one of my favorite things I've ever drawn. Okay. Next we have this little raccoon. It's also part of the National Park Service series that I did, and it says pss, 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 responsibly, which, like, all of these tweets were so funny, which is why I decided to illustrate all of them. And so I really like how this raccoon turned out. I think this is a very cute illustration, and this is an A tier for me. The font pairing, the colors, the way the raccoon turned out, I really like a lot of things about that artwork. The next one, I think, is the final one in my National Park series that I did, and it's a bison. And it says, "Believe in yourself like visitors who think they can pet a bison." It's like, why do people... It's the year 2025. Like, why are people still thinking that we can pet bison? Like, obviously, we cannot. And so for me, this is an S tier. I like the illustration of the bison. I like the composition. I like how the text is laid out. I like everything about it. It's 10 out of 10 for me. S tier, yes. Okay, the next picture is an older watercolor painting. It's my Wild Spirit Bear. It's one of the first galaxies that I tried to paint. And you'll see I painted, I think I only included one other galaxy in here. But if you go back through, you'll see I had a real big galaxy phase. And this bear is one of the first ones, if not the first galaxy that I ever attempted to paint in watercolor. There's something that is kind of magical about being a beginner, because you don't know the rules, and so you don't know that you're breaking them. And so that's why, like, some of my older pieces, I think, are some of my more successful ones, because I wasn't afraid to try weird things. Like, I just was making art, and I was just like putting stuff on a page and letting it be. I didn't know like what was good or what was bad. Now, there is like something to that where you don't know what you're doing and you make bad art. that is a thing that happens. It's not the end of the world, obviously. You have to start somewhere, and to make bad art means that you're just going to keep getting better. But like sometimes not knowing that you're breaking rules makes things more interesting. You are less constrained. And that's, I think, what happened here is I really like this piece, even though like it's not the best blending. The colors are really pretty. It holds a really special place in my heart. So for those reasons, it is an S tier for me, this painting. I love it. Now we have another watercolor piece. This is a bookmark that I painted inspired by Arches National Park. And it's one of my favorite juxtapositions of hot, cool. So hot being warm colors comparatively put against cool colors. And so you'll see the arch itself looks like it's being lit up with like a torch or a flashlight or a lantern, something, and the light is reflecting off of the red rock. And then because you have this like bright red rock, the night sky is just this deep blues, and the pairing of those colors I think is absolutely gorgeous. And so this is also an S tier. But just like, it's great. I love how it turned out. It's a little bit of a galaxy, but it's mostly a night sky. But it's just like, I love that hot, cool. And then the next one, you guys are going to be annoyed at me for a little bit because this one I'm also going to put in the S tier. But I picked this artwork grouping, so obviously I like a lot of it. This is a galaxy night sky that I painted. It's a large watercolor painting. I think it's 12 by 18, and I have this displayed in my bedroom. I had it hanging on the wall in our bedroom in Arizona for years. Like since I painted this, it's been hanging up in my house. I love it that much. So it has to be S tier for me. Okay, taking a break from the S tier, we're gonna drop it back down to the D's because this painting right here is just, there's a lot of good things about this painting, but I don't like it. And it's not a bad thing to not like it. I was trying to paint Impressionist artwork inspired by Impressionist painters, and I had this bouquet of peonies. It's not my normal style. I was trying something new, so I don't like it. But the composition's not bad. The colors are fine. Like, it's okay. It's not a bad painting, but I just don't like it very much. I just don't like it. And you can like it. You're free to like it. But for me, it's a D tier. I don't like it. That's it. This next painting I'm going to talk about is another watercolor painting. This is going to be an A tier painting for me. I do really like this painting. It's a sailboat on the ocean at like sunset after a storm has rolled through. And so I think the composition's pretty, the colors are pretty, the blending I have on there is pretty. I think it's a really beautiful piece of art. It reminds me of the Green Dory, which is a famous painting that I had to recreate when I was in college. And this painting, the sailboat painting I made, looks nothing like the Green Dory. It's not even like remotely similar compositionally or anything like that. It just reminds me of the feels of that painting, if that makes sense. So I really like it, and so it's going in the A tier. And then another S for you guys. I'm not even sorry about it. This is my Sunset Bear. This painting is probably my favorite painting that I've ever made, ever. And I love it so much. It was my profile picture. It was my business card background. It was featured in a lot of products that I made. I have a magnet of it. I've got stickers of it that I give out to all my friends. I have pins, like little lapel pens, acrylic, that I had made with this. Like, this is if I was an artwork, I would be this artwork. This is me. So it has to be an S tier. Okay, then we have a watercolor elephant painting, which I also really love, but I'm going to put it in the A tier. It's a great painting. I love how it turned out. I tried something new with painting the elephant in like non-traditional elephant colors. So I used a deep indigo blue and a yellow color, kind of similar colors actually to the sunset bear that I just talked about. And I love how this elephant turned out. I have it hanging up in my classroom right now. And my sister owns a print of it and it hangs in her house. My best friend had this printed on her phone case for a long time. So I love this elephant. I have a lot of fun painting animals in addition to landscapes. I'm very inspired by nature and the natural world. You can kind of see that in my body of work. That I tend to paint those types of things. All right, this next painting is a kingfisher, and this is also going in the S tier because it's a great painting. I love the way that the kingfisher came out. This is one of the art pieces that got accepted into a juried exhibition in Arizona. And so I had this picture and another kingfisher and another floral piece that were all part of that exhibit. And I just was very proud of myself. It was the first time I'd been in a juried art show. I had to apply and be accepted. And so that's a piece that was a big milestone for me in my career. So it's an S tier. I like it. This next painting is a sunset pine tree. I'm going to put it in the B tier. It's a fine painting. It is a formula, again, that I followed successfully in many pieces where you paint a sunset and you add a tree. And this one it's so run of the mill. Everybody was painting sunsets with silhouetted trees. And so it's successful. It's a successful painting for a reason, but it's just not where my passion lies anymore. And so it's going in the B tier. Then we have I tried to do a hyper-realistic strawberry, and I'm not a hyper-realist. I don't typically paint in hyper-realism, and so this strawberry was stepping out of my comfort zone, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks really great. I think it's one of my most successful renderings of a strawberry I've ever painted, and so I'm going to put it in the A tier. And just kind of enjoy that strawberry. It turned out really good. It's a watercolor, and then I used gel pen and Posca marker to add the juicy highlights, and it turned out really nice. I was very happy with myself for being able to do something that was more hype. It might not be everybody's definition of hyper realistic, but for me, it's hyper realistic. Then we have the painting of the apple pie. And I love apple pie.
Pie! Apple pie!
It is my favorite type of pie, and you're allowed to have a different favorite type of pie, but if your favorite type of pie is not apple, then you're wrong. This one, I think, for me, also S tier. I really like it. I like the tea towel. I like that it's just half a pie and there's that negative space, and it feels like a picnic. It feels like summertime. It feels like a lot of things that I like. This next picture is going to go in the A tier. This is a digital painting of hands that are all different skin tones, and it says "Be kind." I painted this during a time where George Floyd and Juneteenth and the cultural shifts were happening, and I wanted to be very supportive of artists in that space. I worked for many years with kids who were inner city urban poverty Title I. I was a minority at that school. Those kids are so special to me, and that time in my life and respecting them and who they are as people in the world that they deserve to inherit. And so I created that artwork for that. And so it's an A tier. The anatomy is kind of off in the hands. Hands are very hard to draw. And so it's not technically perfect, but the heart is there. And so for me, it's an A tier painting. Okay, then this next one is another peony. And while peonies are my favorite flower, these pictures I've included of them are not my favorite paintings I've done of them. I have other artwork where I've drawn peonies and painted peonies that I much more enjoy, but these ones are just, oh well. So I put it in the C tier because while it's not a bad painting, it's just not one of my favorites. It's not in a style I do anymore. And so, it can live in the C tier. It won't hurt its feelings. It's not going to cry itself to sleep over this. Then I have this painting of hands holding a bar of soap with suds. And I love, one, how the hands came out in this, and two, how the soap and the soap suds came out. This was Inktober 2020, and 2020 was a year. It was a big year for everybody in the world, and washing your hands was very important. So wash your damn hands. It just cracks me up. I think it's hilarious. So it's S tier. That's an S tier painting for me. Then we have one of my very favorite digital paintings I've done. It is a cowboy boot with a bouquet of flowers. There's some peonies that I like, okay? So I put it in the A tier. It is just, I want boots like that. I want to own cowboy boots that look like that. I love the flowers. I had so much fun painting that and creating that on my iPad. We were on vacation in South Carolina, and so this just like good vibes, good memories. I love the cowboy boot. It's a good time. And then we have another digital painting of a plant, and this one precedes the cowboy boot in that I took a Skillshare class when I first got Procreate. I didn't know how to use the tools effectively, and so I took a Skillshare class to like figure out how to make things in Procreate. And this style I got from Liz Kohler Brown, and I really identify with how she illustrated things in Procreate. And so over time, I've taken that style and adapted it to be more my own. This plant is like from that class, so it's not totally my style, but I had a lot of fun making it. I learned a lot from taking that class, and so I think, it's gonna be a B tier. Okay, now I have a crayon drawing of a cow, and I am going to put this in the A tier. It's a crayon drawing of a cow with a flower crown. I was sitting in class with my elementary schoolers. I don't remember what grade, but we were having independent work time in the art room. So everybody was working on their own projects, and part of what I like to do in my art room is to sit at a table and work with students. And I move around the room and sit at different tables so that I can get to know my kids, so that I can build relationships with them, so that they feel like I like them and that they belong in my art room. And so I drew this cow during one of those sessions, and it just like, you don't need fancy art supplies to make fun art. You just don't. You can make cool things with crayons. Don't be afraid to use crayons. It's like, we get so old and crayons are for kids, and they're really not. You can do some cool things with crayons, like a cow. Okay. So, chugging right along here. I've got a rainbow background with I think this is a poppy flower, and I'm going to put it in the B tier. It is a very nice rendition of a flower. It's a pretty rainbow background. I remember making this, and then I went to visit my grandma towards the end of her life, and I brought this flower with me, and I gave it to her, and she had it displayed in her room, I believe, until the end. So, it has a special place in my heart. I do like the art, but it's B tier. because it's not my best art, but the memory is good. The sentimentality of it is there. Okay, then I have an oil painting. This is my most recent oil painting. I painted a lot with oils in college, and then I've done a few oil paintings since college, but I mostly paint with watercolor and now gouache. And so it was fun to get my oils out and paint with my oil paints and do a landscape of a lake in the very north of North Idaho. And I love how this turned out. So for me, this is an A tier, and I'm not going to even apologize for having so many S and A tiers. This is part of why I think it might be more fun for you guys to watch if somebody else picked the artwork for me to react, because me picking my own, I tried to get a variety, but I just ended up picking a lot of the pieces that I like because I like them. Speaking of, we've got an A-frame cabin, which is again this idea of hot cool, where it looks so cozy, but it's wintertime, and I'm gonna put it in the A tier, and I'm not even gonna apologize for it. Just is, okay? I love it. Come over here and stop me. We're almost done. We've got 5 pictures left to react to, so we're getting down to the wire. This next one is another digital illustration. It's a raccoon, and it says, someone's feral aunt, and that is me. I am someone's feral aunt, and this is an S tier illustration. I love the little raccoon. Trash pandas have a special place in my heart, and I can be feral, so no apologies. Then I have another sketchbook piece that is koi fish, and this was inspired by the trip that I took to Japan. I really like how this turned out. It's very pretty. The fish are fun to draw. I used markers. I put it in my sketchbook. It's a good time. I turned it into a digital illustration. I made a pattern out of it. It's pretty cool. I'm going to put it in the B tier just because not all of my pieces on that spread are successful, but on the whole, I really like that. So the individual parts of it, some of them would be S tier, some of them would be A tier, some of them would be C tier. So I feel like B is a good place for that spread to live, but I do really like it. Then we've got this rainbow trout, and I love drawing and painting fish. I've gotten super into it in the last probably year and a half. I've gotten really into drawing fish, especially rainbow trout. I grew up catching rainbow trout, eating rainbow trout. So now as an adult, it feels like this kind of full circle moment for me. This specific piece I did with watercolor, and then I was experimenting with oil pastel and colored pencil as like a mixed media element to a watercolor painting. The watercolor I feel like is successful. The colored pencil that I added I feel like is successful. The oil pastels, I struggled. I love oil pastels, and I teach them a lot with my elementary schoolers. In this painting, I struggled to incorporate the oil pastel in a way that I liked. And so the fish looks cool. The background is fine. The oil pastel details could be a lot better. They leave a lot to be desired. So for me, it's a C. Then we've got this great blue heron, and it's going in the S tier. I just really like it. I just do. I made it with Sharpie S-Note highlighters. And I think that the transparency and the way that they layered and the yellow in the body and the anatomy that I was able to do, I like it. And so for me, it's an S tier drawing. Like, it just is. I like it a lot. And then our last piece of art for today is this stool that I painted in my classroom. And it is acrylic. And I'm not a big acrylic paint person, but this turned out pretty good. I'm going to put it in the A tier. I like how it turned out. It's bears, it's yin yang, it's green, it's foresty and flowery, and living back in the Pacific Northwest, like I'm back home. This painting was like a coming home for me. There it is. There you have it. There's all of the art that I have picked out. We made it through 37 pieces of art. This is top heavy. It's mostly S and A. You know, I'm not going to make apologies for that because I like the art that I do. And I think it's important to like the art that you do. I think it's important to remember that you don't have to like everything that you do. And especially if you're new or beginning to make art, you're gonna make things that you don't like. And that's fine. You have to start somewhere. Nobody starts something new being an expert in that area. So give yourself grace if that's where you are at. Especially don't compare yourself to other artists who've either been in it longer than you or been in it shorter than you or been in it the same amount of time as you. Don't compare yourself to those people because you're not them. Make the art you want to make. Don't be afraid to suck. And know that sucking at something is the first step to getting better at something. With that being said, I'll hop off my soapbox. Thank you guys for hanging out with me while I ranked my artwork. Again, if you would like to see those other videos like reacting to my high school or other past artworks or my husband or friends picking my art to react to, let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, please don't forget to hit that like button. And again, if you want to hang out with me again in the future, hit the subscribe button. Let's do it. Thank you for being here, for hanging out with me, and have a good rest of your day. I will see you in the next video. Bye.